Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind. I gotta continue to speak into existence this dream of Democrat election demise. Call it whatever you want to call it. Am I a hopeless optimist? You're damn right. Am I a conservative shill? You're damn right times two. People want to be doomers and promote doom and gloom. I'm going to continue to do the exact opposite. I'm seeing nothing but good in terms of the data, in terms of the daily news cycle. Good for Republicans and bad for Democrats. And so I'm continuing to dive into this with a positive outlook that things are looking good. In other words, things are looking bad for Democrats. And well, as we continue to analyze whatever is going on ahead of the election, the trend continues. Joe Biden is in serious, and I mean serious, frickin' trouble. We are looking at a possible change of the political landscape in America. You know, for a century, the United States has been a two-party political system. It's not like third parties can't exist, it's just that they pretty much haven't. It's just kind of the way things have been. Well, that might change, at least in this election, as Joe Biden regret continues, as calls to replace Joe Biden continue. Third-party candidates, or I guess fourth and fifth party candidates, continue to announce their candidacies, challenging Joe Biden, challenging the Democrat status quo. This spells possible doom for Nancy Pelosi and her minions. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So it started off with RFK and I forget the other guy's name. I think Cornel West launching their presidential bids as a challenge to the leftist status quo. Cornel West, let's be honest, not really making too much noise, but you know, it's possible that he takes 1 or 2%. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., in some polls, taking up to 22% of the vote. I mean, absolutely incredible stuff. You know, possible massive impact on this presidential election. Well, we got to add more names to the list now, as now even Jill Stein announces her candidacy. She's running against Joe. Well, you know, running against Donald Trump and Joe Biden, but really running against Joe.
The U.S. role in blocking a UN ceasefire resolution is absolutely unforgivable. We call for an investigation of the Netanyahu regime's war crimes, as well as the role of Biden and U.S. leaders in aiding and abetting them. And above all, these crimes must stop now. As a Jew who grew up just after the Holocaust, with relatives who fled pogroms and a grandfather named Israel, I take never again seriously, and that means never again for anyone. For all those reasons, we demand a ceasefire, an end to the blockade, humanitarian and medical relief, release of hostages and political prisoners, and an end to occupation and apartheid. This is the only path to peace and security for us all.
Jill Stein is the leader of the Green Party. The Green Party is essentially the tree-hugging socialist left, generally a political party that tends to attract young voters, hippies, stoners, unemployed people. So obviously, what does that tell you? It means that most likely the Green Party is going to cannibalize some of the younger, more woke Democrat voters, people who would have just defaulted to voting Joe because orange man bad. Some principled people will vote for the Green Party because that represents their values, instead of just giving Joe a default vote. That's going to happen. That's going to happen with Cornel West. That's also going to happen with RFK Jr. And by the way, I continue to stand by my prediction that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to end up hurting Joe Biden more than Donald Trump. I know every now and then someone on Twitter will send me a poll, you know, an outlier poll, showing the exact opposite, usually from a very untrustworthy polling source. There is some data to suggest that I'm wrong, but overwhelmingly I'd argue that the majority of the data is telling the exact opposite story. The two most recent big polls to release, specifically targeting swing states, well, aren't exactly showing a great trend for the Democrat Party and specifically Joe Biden. There's this.
Despite the ethno-immunity theories and 9/11 trutherism, there are still people in this country who think that RFK Jr. belongs in the White House. This week, the New York Times and Siena College released a poll of 6 key battleground states: Nevada, Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. It found that in a 3-way race, 24% of registered voters in those swing states picked RFK Jr. 33% chose Joe Biden, 35% chose Donald Trump. Digging a little deeper, that same poll found RFK Jr. beating both Joe Biden and Donald Trump among voters younger than 45. That was most pronounced among Americans aged 18 to 29. Kennedy at 34%, Biden at 30%, and Donald Trump at 29%. Another poll from Quinnipiac found Kennedy getting 22% of the vote in a 3-way race, with Biden receiving 39% and Trump receiving 36%. That voters, especially young voters, are unhappy with both of the likely nominees here, and that a third-party candidate could have a real shot at disrupting this election.
As you can see in a three-way race with RFK Jr. in the mix, Trump is the clear leader. And if we look past the New York Times Siena poll and take a look at the Bloomberg/Morning Consult poll that just released yesterday, again in swing states, we see very clearly that when Cornel West and RFK Jr. are on the ballot creating four choices for American voters, it benefits Donald Trump. In Georgia, in a four-way race, Donald Trump is up 9 points. In Arizona, he's up 4, Pennsylvania 3, Nevada 4, Wisconsin 2, North Carolina 9, and Michigan seems to be the only place where Biden doesn't suffer a crushing defeat. Those numbers are clear, those numbers are unanimous, and of course the end conclusion, the most important conclusion, absolutely devastating for the Democrat establishment. It is clear that any third-party candidate injecting themselves in this race helps Donald Trump. But of course it doesn't end there, because apparently, there's now new speculation that another person plans to run for president. We have a new contender possibly getting in the arena. Here's the headline exclusive. Hogan drops new ad as he weighs third-party bid for president. Former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan takes aim at Democrats and Republicans in a new ad on foreign policy, a signal that Hogan, a co-chair of the No Labels organization, is moving towards a third-party presidential bid. Why it matters, as polls suggest that voters want an alternative to a likely Biden-Trump rematch in 2024, No Labels is laying the groundwork for a bipartisan presidential ticket and has secured ballot access in 12 states so far. Hogan and Senator Joe Manchin have been among those mentioned as possible No Labels nominees. So it's possible that we see a third party spawn titled the No Labels Party. Now, for the most part, I think it's pretty laughable. Larry Hogan, the neocon sausage, has some of the most deeply unpopular ideas in the Republican establishment. He's a Warhawk puppet that nobody really trusts, but again, it's a third party candidate, well, at this point, a fifth party candidate that could possibly enter the ring here. In my opinion, the more we see of this, the more Donald Trump benefits. Trump supporters aren't going anywhere. They're a loyal grassroots movement, a group of highly motivated, patriotic individuals who are ready to go to the polls in 2024. They're not undecided. Democrat voters are inherently undecided. Independent Democrat-leaning voters are inherently undecided. They don't want Joe. It's pretty much that simple. That's what it boils down to. That's the concept. Nobody wants Joe. People are tired of seeing their president fall upstairs and fall off bikes, fail to string coherent sentences together, fail to really enact any significant policies that's making people's lives better. And so the trend continues. We're seeing more challengers, most of these challengers targeting a more leftist audience. And the numbers pretty much prove that. The numbers speak for themselves. An absolutely devastating doomsday scenario for the Democrat establishment and Joe Biden's chances of winning next year. And that's pretty much good for everyone. And I mean literally everyone, not just in America, but across the globe. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, friends, and I'll see you on the next one.